somebody to chat to. It's kind of like ducks in a farmyard. Quack, 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 quack. If you enter into any company office, everyone is quacking away. Then it's noon, so they all go out. Quack, quack. They come back, quack, quack, quack. And nobody truly works. Everyone is simply quack, quack, quacking. Then they check their email, look around Facebook, grab a coffee, quack some more, and then go home. I've noticed that in Russia, the workday officially goes from 8:00 a.m. to 5:00 p.m. However, when I'm driving in traffic by 3:00 or 3:30 in the afternoon, the roads are jammed. Because the folks who are scheduled to complete work at 5:00 are actually leaving early to watch TV or to beat the traffic. Quack, quack, quack. So most of the time at work is just squandered. Now, let me tell you a strategy to dramatically improve your life. When you go to work, actually work. The moment you start in the morning, just work. Don't waste time on diversions. If someone comes to chat, quack, 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 tell them, Wes, but not now. Let's talk after work or over the weekend. Right now, I need to focus. Eventually, people will stop bugging you and find someone else to quack with. Meanwhile, you'll be getting 2 to 3 times more done every single day. If you create the practice of working all day without distractions, you'll produce twice as much, earn twice as much, and get promoted twice as fast. And this applies wherever in the world, regardless matter the conditions. By the way, I indicated that this is a tremendous time of opportunity in Russia. Did you know that most of the most successful firms started during recessions? Many of the most successful careers, including mine, began at the bottom of a slump. Why? Because in a recession, you're forced to think wiser, make better judgments, and focus on the activities that truly count. Moments of enormous adversity are also moments of immense opportunity. You can grow faster and become stronger today than ever before in your lifetime. So don't waste time moaning about today's issues. First, because complaining doesn't change anything. Second, because concealed inside these problems are chances that can benefit you in the future. Now, here's a second question for you. I ask this all the time because when I first heard it, I didn't know the answer. The question is, what is your most valuable financial asset? At first, I thought maybe my house, my car, or my bank account. But no, your most significant financial asset is your earning power, your ability to create money. It's like an oil well that continues producing. You could lose everything, but as long as you have your earning ability, you can rebuild. Your earning ability is the most powerful financial asset you have. And what is it? Exactly. It's your capacity to get results that people are willing to pay for. This has nothing to do with your personal worth. Every human being is valued. But some people's earning potential are significantly higher than others. And like any asset, your earning ability can either improve in value or deteriorate. Now, here's what research have found regarding this. The 80-20 rule applies. The bottom 8%, those who struggle with money all their lives, usually work to a certain level and then stop advancing. 10 years into their professions, they're no more productive than they were after 1 year, unless they're forced to grow. As a result, their incomes climb just 2-3% per year. But the top 20% are different. They raise their income by roughly 11% per year. If your income rises at 11% yearly, you'll double your profits every 6 to 7 years. Then you'll double it again and again. Before you know it, you're living in a lovely home, driving a wonderful car, sending your kids to private schools, and enjoying financial security. But if you stop growing your earning ability, none of this happens. So what's the difference? The poorest 80% cease learning when they leave school. The top 20% never stop. They keep growing, keep developing, and keep increasing their value. Learning new talents leads to greater income potential. One of my favorite figures is the measurement of the highest paid persons in America. And by the way, this tendency remains true in practically every country. They looked at the top 500 CEOs of the 500 largest firms, and every year they do this computation. What they find is that the average executive earns roughly $10 million. Now, this individual started their profession with no earning ability and no results to show for their work. Yet today, their firm is willing to give them $10 million to come to work. What has happened? Well, the average top executive now gets 257 times the average wage of the workforce in their company. 257 times. We're not talking about doubling or triple the income. We're talking 257 times more. Some top executives earn 300-400 times what the average individual in their organization makes. How does this happen? Here's what they discovered. Every year, roughly 1% to 1.2% of the population starts their first employment as adults. It's like a giant marathon with everyone lined up. And when the starting pistol goes off, everyone runs. Just like in a marathon, some people rush forward, many stay in the center, and some fall far behind. They just completed a 25-year research, which I feel is one of the greatest studies on success ever done. They wondered, how is it that certain people end up making so much money, receiving nearly $1 million a month, with companies wanting to hire them at $10 million per year if they lost their job? So, scholars at a large institution took a deep dig into this. They reasoned that these individuals must have outstanding intelligence, unique endowments, or unusual talents that enabled them to attain such achievement. They looked into their educational records and the records of their early occupations. And guess what they found? These people were just mediocre when they started their professions. They didn't stick out in any way. They were exactly like everyone else. But there was one key difference. They all embraced a simple technique that altered their careers. And it's so simple you won't believe it. When these people started their first job, the first thing they would do was go to their boss and say, I want to make a valuable contribution here and be successful in this company. What skill would help me the most to be more successful and contribute more? The boss would respond, if you could become really good at negotiating, team building, selling, reading financial statements, you would be far more valuable than the average person. So, they would write that down and put it as their goal. Like a lesson plan in school. Just as if you wanted to become a doctor or an engineer, there are specific courses you would need to take. They would inquire, what are the best books on this skill? And write those down. What are the best audio programs for this skill? And they'd find them. And finally, they would ask, what courses and seminars should I attend to develop this skill? And how can I practice this every day? They would focus on improving that one skill, just like a sniper rather than a machine gunner. They would dedicate themselves to practicing on this talent continuously. It can take a month, 3 months, or even a year, but they worked on it every day. And here's the magic number: 2 hours a day. 5 days a week, totaling 10 hours a week. That's the key. Now let's put this in perspective. There are 168 total hours in a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, if you want to be at the top in your sector and earn among the best pay, take just 10 of those 168 hours each week to invest in your personal growth and work on mastering one skill. That's the starting point for obtaining huge success. Investing in yourself is the key. This technique has become the strategy of top achievers, including the presidents, some of the largest companies in the world. They commit 2 to 3 hours each week to reading and improving their skills. Do you know who the third richest person in the world is? It's Warren Buffett. Warren started delivering newspapers when he was 14 and 15 years old, every morning at 5:00 a.m. While it was still dark and most people were asleep, he distributed newspapers. He did this for nearly 2 years, distributing 200,000 newspapers and earning 1 cent per paper, equivalent to 1 ruble today. He saved his money and grew 2,000, which became his first investment. After carefully analyzing the options, he made the investment, and over time, it grew. As he continued to invest, his wealth increased. Today, his combined investments are worth $350 billion, making him the owner of one of the largest enterprises in the world. Last year, his company's profits were $25 billion, and $25 billion is a lot of money. It's an astounding amount for one guy to create. Warren Buffett has the same routine almost every day. He spends 80% of his time studying and reading stuff relevant to his business. Only 20% of his time goes toward meetings or phone calls. His concentration is on learning new things to improve decision making and generate better results. A question I typically ask adults is, how many hours a week do you spend studying new subjects that help you increase your productivity and value? Research has shown that highly successful persons regard earning abilities as a ladder, with each rung signifying a talent. As you acquire a new skill, your earning potential grows. Additionally, each new skill boosts your capacity to employ the ones you've already mastered. The more abilities you gain, the more valuable you become, and people will pay you more for the results you can create for them. However, if you ever decide to stop ascending the ladder of success, you'll plateau like many individuals do at roughly 80%. Over time, your abilities become outdated, and this process is happening faster than ever. If you're not always moving up the ladder, you're actually moving down. People often question why their income isn't increasing. But the solution is simple. They're not becoming more productive. They're not learning new talents. And they're not working on improving themselves to become more successful. Increasing your earning ability is the tactic of the highest paid people in the world. They commit at least 10 hours a week to studying the skill that will help them the most. Climbing the ladder becomes a habit, much like watching TV or playing sports could be a habit for others. Learning is a constant aspect of their life. In fact, during some of my seminars, I ask, what are you learning today? What subject are you concentrating on today? You should ask individuals around you the same question during breaks. What are you learning today? Everyone should have an answer, whether it's strategy, sales, presentations, or team building. Everyone should be working on learning new talents. A friend of mine wrote a best-selling book a few years ago. Its key message was that what brought you to where you are today is not enough to keep you there. To go further, you must gain new skills. And how long does this process last? For your entire life. As long as there is quick change in technology, competition, and government legislation, you must welcome rapid change in your own development as well. The most successful individuals are those who continue to study and develop new talents. A few years ago, I read something in philosophy that resonated with me. There are just a few things a person can do for themselves. A person can only breathe for themselves, eat for themselves, and drink for themselves. But there's one thing you must do for yourself more than anything else. Learn for yourself. Only you can learn. No one else can do it for you, and no one else can give it to you. You can only learn new things through hard work. When I discovered the idea of continual learning, I felt it was a miracle. I came from a poor background. We never had any money. When I left school, I did not graduate. My first job was cleaning dishes in the back of a tiny motel. When I lost that work, I took a job washing cars in the cold. You know what that's like. When I lost that work, I found a job washing floors with a janitorial business. I assumed washing was in my future, but my wife was continuously giving me items to wash because she stated she didn't want me to lose my skill. I went and worked on farms, in construction, and in laborious occupations. I labored digging wells and stacking logs in industries. I worked on a ship in the North Atlantic. I did laborious jobs till I was 23 years old. When I could no longer find one, like many people here, I obtained a job in sales. In sales, I was a complete failure since I had no training. For 6 months, I toiled and worked, but I made little progress. Starting in sales with no abilities is a terrific weight loss program because if you don't sell, you don't eat. I lost a lot of weight in those 6 months. Finally, I accomplished something that transformed my life. I went to the top salesman in our company. He was a little older than me, but earned 10 times as much. I asked him, "Why are you so successful? Why do you earn so much money?" He answered, "Show me your sales system and process, and I'll give you feedback." I said, "I don't have a system. I just knock on doors and talk to people until they tell me they're not interested. Then I do it again and again. Was waking up at 6 or 7 in the morning, knocking on doors by 8 and working all day. Then I would knock on doors of apartments and residences in the evening. I worked 12 to 14 hours a day. Sometimes I worked 12 hours and didn't make a single transaction. And even when I did, it was a little transaction." He answered, "No, that's not the way to sell. The way to sell is by asking questions and finding ways to help customers achieve their goals with our products." So, I started asking questions instead of just talking. People responded differently. I began reading books on marketing, listening to radio programs, and attending seminars. Every time I learned something new, my sales improved. Within a year, I was earning 10 times more. By 25, I made more than I had ever imagined. I was earning more than my father after 40 years of hard labor. I couldn't believe it. What I learned was that every sector has success formulas, recipes you can follow. If you do what successful people do, you get the same outcomes. For the remainder of my life, whenever I entered a new business, I've been in 22 different businesses. I would sit down and study. I would question, what is the success formula in this business? How do people succeed? What do the top 20% of companies and individuals do? Then, I would follow their example and eventually attain the same results. Experts would question, how can you be successful? You've never been in this business before. I'd respond, I just read the books, talk to the top people, and they told me what to do. Plans are easy. You start with a list of everything you must do. You've identified the goal, broken it into sub-deadlines, and recognized the information you'll need, the challenges you'll confront, and the individuals whose assistance you'll require. Organize the list by sequence. What must come first before something else? And by priority. What's most important and what's less important? Once your list is arranged by sequence and priority, you have a plan. Now, you have the two key requirements for success, a goal and a plan. Does this take time? Yes. But once you have both, just writing them down encodes them into your subconscious mind. In our advanced coaching programs, we teach clients to set objectives and create plans. Then, 90 days later, they come back. I ask, how many of you reviewed your? In the last 90 days, most people established goals and made plans, but many didn't follow through. How many of you achieved all your goals? The most remarkable thing happens when you write them down. You implant them into your subconscious mind. This, in turn, passes them off like a baton to the superconscious, which works 24/7 to bring them into reality. The most astonishing coincidences occur. Your phone rings with the right opportunity. Someone sits next to you and delivers excellent advice. Your employer gives you a chance, doors open, and insights come to you. Because you've defined a goal and a plan, things align. That's why research shows that people with defined objectives and plans accomplish 10 times more than those without them. Sometimes even exponentially more. So, write down exactly what you desire, making it clear so the universe can help you get it. Emmett Fox, whom I've discussed before, authored a book called The Mental Equivalent. Actually, it wasn't even a full book, just a pamphlet. But it's one of the most profound texts in history. I had read Fox for years until someone asked me, "Have you read The Mental Equivalent?" I said, "No, I've read all his books. It wasn't easy to find, but I got a copy." The underlying premise is simple. Your obligation to the universe is to generate, in your mind, the mental counterpart of what you desire to see on the outside. If you do that, all the mental laws, many of which we've described and many more we haven't, will work in perfect harmony. What you wish will manifest through the laws of belief, expectation, attraction, and correspondence. Your duty is to provide the universe a crystal, clear picture of your goal, which you can only achieve by thinking it through and writing it down. Now, here's your exercise, your homework. Take a blank sheet of paper when you arrive home. This is the sole test, and it's a take-home test. It will indicate how much you actually want to make next year great. At the top of the page, put the word goals. Some of you have done this previously, but I need to share it with everyone. Write down at least 10 goals. More if you desire. These should be one-year goals. Things you want to accomplish this year, such as health, income, travel, exercise, or relationships. Write them in the present tense, as if a year has already gone and you're presenting what you've achieved. I drive a particular car. I live a particular house. I weigh a specified amount pounds. I take a particular vacation. For example, I often write, I spend more time with my family. The more I write it, the more time I actually spend with them. If a goal is significant, but you don't write it down, it gets lost in the shuffle. Make your goals positive. Instead of "I will lose weight," state, "I weigh X pounds." Instead of "I will quit smoking," say, "I am a non-smoker." Your goals should also be personal. Every goal you create for the rest of your life should begin with "I," since you are the only person in the universe who can use that word for yourself. Follow it with an action verb: I earn, I sell, I drive, I live in, I attain, I accomplish, I acquire, I save. That's how the subconscious mind processes instructions. When it receives a clear order, it promptly transmits it on to the superconscious. I've led individuals through this exercise internationally, and when I return a year or two later, they invariably say the same thing. "You won't believe what's happened to me. I jotted down those goals, never looked at them again, and somehow I achieved them all." When you write down a goal, you activate 3 learning modalities: visual, you see it; auditory, you hear yourself speak it; kinesthetic, you write it down. This combination takes the goal straight to the subconscious, which then launches it into the superconscious, like one of those old vacuum tube systems in department shops. It goes boom straight into action. Then you go about your life in 24/7. Your superconscious mind works to bring that desire into reality.